The evening was quiet in the small seaside town. Waves rolled against the shore, and the wooden planks of the old pier creaked softly under the weight of the wind. Rain began to fall, not in a heavy storm but in a gentle, steady rhythm, painting the world in silver drops. Most people hurried inside, closing their doors and windows against the damp air. But Aaron did not. Aaron often walked to the pier after his work was done. The pier was his place of peace. It was where he could breathe away the noise of daily life, where the sea seemed to listen better than anyone else. With his hands in his pockets and his hair wet from the rain, he stepped onto the boards and looked out at the horizon. The sky was soft gray, melting into darker shades as night began to fall. But that evening was different. At the far end of the pier stood someone he had never seen before. A figure, tall and slim, with a cloak that shimmered strangely in the rain. It did not look like normal clothing, for each drop of water seemed to slide off it without soaking through. The person was still, staring at the endless sea as if searching for something beyond it. Aaron slowed his steps. He wondered if the figure was a traveler or simply someone new in town. Visitors were rare here. Curiosity tugged at him, stronger than his usual shyness. He walked closer, his footsteps soft against the rain-slick wood. When he reached halfway down the pier, the figure turned. She was not like anyone he had ever seen. Her eyes were wide and bright, almost glowing in the dim light. Her face carried both youth and wisdom, as though she had seen countless years yet still held wonder inside her. Her cloak shifted slightly, revealing a simple silver band around her wrist that pulsed with a faint blue light. For a moment, neither spoke. The rain filled the silence, tapping gently on the wood around them. "Hello," Aaron said finally, his voice careful but kind. The woman tilted her head, as though she was testing the sound of his word. Then, slowly, she returned the greeting. Her voice was soft, carrying a tone unlike any language he had ever heard, but shaped to match his word. "Hello." Aaron blinked. There was something unusual about her accent, something not of this town or even this world. But instead of fear, he felt curiosity grow stronger. "You're not from here," he said. Her lips curved into the smallest of smiles. "No, I am from far away." She chose each word with care, as if learning them in the moment. The rain grew heavier, dripping from the roof of a nearby lamppost and sliding into little rivers along the pier. Aaron pulled his jacket tighter and stepped closer, though not too close. "Why come here?" he asked. She looked back at the sea, her eyes reflecting the gray waves. "I came to see this world. To see humans." She paused, then added softly, "To see what makes them strong." Aaron did not know what to say. The strangeness of her words mixed with the calm of her voice. She was different, but not dangerous. She seemed more lost than threatening. The rain made her cloak shimmer again, and Aaron thought of asking more questions, but instead, he simply stood beside her. They both looked out at the waves, letting the silence stretch comfortably between them. After a long pause, Aaron spoke again. "My name is Aaron." She turned to him, as if testing the sound of it. "Aaron," she repeated, then nodded. "I am Myra." The way she said her own name was smooth, almost like a note of music. The pier creaked as the tide shifted below, and the rain softened once more. Aaron felt something stir inside him, a sense that this meeting was not by chance. Myra was not a tourist or a stranger from a faraway city. She was something else, something beyond his imagination. Yet here she was, standing in the rain beside him. He smiled, not knowing what tomorrow would bring, but glad that tonight had brought him here. Myra looked at him, her glowing eyes softer now. "You come here often?" she asked, her words slower, steadier. "Yes," Aaron said. "This is my favorite place. The pier feels alive when it rains." She tilted her head, listening to the drops as they danced on the wood. "Alive," she repeated, almost to herself. Then she gave him another faint smile, as if she, too, felt the life in this moment. And so, beneath the gray sky and the falling rain, on an ordinary pier in an ordinary town, something extraordinary began. The next morning, the rain had left the town fresh and cool. Drops clung to the leaves of trees, and puddles still dotted the cobbled streets. Aaron thought of the strange meeting from the night before. He wondered if Myra had been real, or if the rain and his imagination had played tricks on him. Yet, in his heart, he knew she was real. He carried a small basket with him as he walked toward the pier. Inside it was bread from the bakery and a thermos of warm tea. If Myra returned, he wanted to share something simple with her, something human. When he reached the pier, he found her there again. She stood in almost the same place, her cloak catching the morning light. This time, her eyes brightened when she saw him. "You came back," Aaron said with a smile. "Yes," Myra replied. Her voice was still soft, but a little steadier now. "I wanted to see more." Aaron set the basket down and opened it. "Then let me show you something," he said, handing her a piece of bread. Myra looked at it with curiosity. She turned it in her hands, studying its texture. "What is it?" "Bread," Aaron explained. "Simple food. Humans eat it almost every day." She sniffed it gently, then took a small bite. For a moment, her eyes widened in surprise. "It is warm," she said slowly. "And soft." She took another small bite, this time smiling faintly. "It feels kind." Aaron laughed softly. "Kind? That's a new way to describe bread." Myra tilted her head, but her eyes sparkled with interest. "Food that is shared is kindness," she said. Her words made Aaron quiet for a moment. He had never thought of it that way, but she was right. Sharing food was a kind of kindness, simple yet deep. They sat on the edge of the pier together, eating bread and drinking tea as the sea stretched before them. The waves rose and fell gently, as if listening to their talk. Aaron told Myra about his town, about the fishermen who went out before dawn, the children who played near the market square, the music played during summer festivals. Myra listened closely, her glowing eyes fixed on him. She seemed to soak in every detail, as though each word was precious. Then, Myra spoke of her own journeys. She told him of starfields so wide they made her feel small, of planets where the ground shone with crystal light, and skies that carried two suns at once. Her voice painted pictures that Aaron could hardly imagine, yet he loved hearing them. "Do you miss your home?" Aaron asked. Myra looked at the waves for a long moment before answering. "My people travel. We belong not to one place, but to the stars." "But," she hesitated, her gaze softening. "I have never stayed in one place this long before." Aaron felt a quiet warmth in her words, though she did not say more. The afternoon stretched, and though the clouds gathered again, neither of them seemed to notice. They asked questions, small and large. Myra wanted to know why humans laughed, why they cried, why they painted pictures or wrote songs. Aaron tried to explain, though sometimes he simply said, "Because it feels right." Myra seemed to like that answer most of all. When a light rain began to fall once more, Myra lifted her face toward the sky. "Your world sings when it rains," she whispered. Aaron chuckled. "Most people just complain about getting wet. But you do not." "No," Aaron admitted. "The rain makes me feel alive. Like the world is washing itself clean." Myra closed her eyes, letting the drops fall on her face. "Alive," she repeated softly, as though trying to hold onto the word. For a while, they simply sat together, listening to the rain and the sea. It was not a silence of strangers, but of two souls sharing something beyond words. As evening approached, Myra rose to her feet. Her cloak shimmered again as the rain slid off it without leaving a mark. "I must go now," she said, her tone almost reluctant. Aaron nodded, though he felt a quiet ache in his chest. "Will you come back?" Myra met his gaze, her glowing eyes gentle. "Yes. I will return." Aaron smiled, though part of him still feared it might be the last time. "Then I'll bring more bread." Myra gave a small laugh, the sound like a soft bell in the rain. "And I will bring more stories." With that, she stepped lightly down the pier and into the mist. The rain swallowed her figure until she was gone. Aaron stayed behind, the basket empty beside him, his heart full of something he could not name. He looked out at the endless horizon, wondering if fate had tied a thread between him and the woman from the stars. And though the rain continued to fall, Aaron felt only warmth. The days passed quickly, and the pier became more than just a place of peace for Aaron. It became a bridge to a world beyond his own. Each evening, Myra returned, and each evening, they shared stories, laughter, and quiet silences that felt deeper than words. Aaron brought her different foods: fruit, cheese, even sweet cakes from the town bakery. Myra always studied them with great interest before tasting them, as though each bite carried a lesson about humanity. She said little at times, but her glowing eyes revealed her wonder. In return, Myra told him about the galaxies she had crossed. She spoke of rivers that flowed with golden water on one planet, forests made of glass trees on another. Yet when she described those places, her voice carried less warmth than when she asked about humans, about families, songs, or the meaning of friendship. One evening, the sky was clear, filled with stars brighter than usual. The sea reflected them like scattered diamonds. Aaron and Myra sat together at the far end of the pier, their legs dangling above the water. "You know so much about us already," Aaron said, watching the starlight shimmer on the waves. "But sometimes I wonder, why are you really here?" Myra was quiet. Her cloak moved gently with the breeze, but her eyes stayed fixed on the horizon. For a long moment, she said nothing. Finally, her voice came low and soft. "I came to study you. My people, they do not believe humans are ready. They think your kind is too young, too unstable. They ask me to observe and to decide if humans should be welcomed among the stars." Aaron turned to her, surprised. "So, you're judging us?" She nodded slowly. "Yes. That is my duty." The words struck him like cold rain. For days, he had thought of their meetings as something special, something personal. To hear now that it was part of a mission, part of a test, left a hollow ache in his chest. "I see," Aaron said quietly. He looked down at his hands, wet with sea spray. "And what do you think? Do you think they're right?" Myra's gaze softened as she studied him. "I thought they were right. I was taught to believe that humans fight too much, chase too much, lose too much. But," she paused, her voice trembling slightly. You are not what I expected. You are not weak. You are different. Aaron wanted to feel comfort in her words, but doubt still pressed on him. Maybe I'm just one person, he said. Maybe you're only seeing what you want to see. Myra shook her head gently. No. Through you, I see more than one person. When you tell me about your people, when you share your bread, when you laugh at the rain, you carry something greater. You carry hope. That is strength. Her words touched him, yet the weight of the truth still sat between them. For the first time, silence felt heavy, not peaceful. Above them, clouds began to gather, slowly covering the stars. The waves grew restless, and the pier creaked under their feet. Aaron stood and walked a few steps away, his heart restless. It's strange, he said, his voice low. All this time, I thought we were just two people meeting by chance. But now it feels like you've been deciding something much bigger. Myra rose to her feet too, her glowing eyes reflecting the first flash of lightning in the distance. At first, yes. But now, she hesitated, her cloak fluttering in the wind. Now I feel something I was not taught to expect. Something I cannot measure or record. When I am with you, Aaron, I feel. She stopped herself, unsure of the word. The sky rumbled with thunder, and rain began to fall, sharp and cold. They stood a few feet apart, the storm growing between them, yet neither moved away. What do you feel? Aaron asked softly, though his voice carried over the storm. Myra looked at him, her eyes shining brighter than the lightning above. I feel closer. As if my world and your world are not so far apart. The rain poured harder, soaking Aaron's jacket, sliding off Myra's strange cloak. The storm was wild, but Aaron's heart felt wilder still. He wanted to believe her, wanted to trust her words. Yet fear whispered inside him, fear that she would leave, fear that he was just a study in her mission. Still, he took a step closer, rain running down his face. Then maybe you're starting to understand us, he said. Humans aren't perfect. We fall, we fight, we make mistakes. But we also dream. We love. That's what makes us strong. Myra held his gaze, and for the first time, her calm face revealed something else: uncertainty, but also longing. The storm roared around them, but in that moment, the only sound that mattered was the quiet beat of two hearts standing against the rain. The storm passed during the night, leaving the town washed and quiet. The air smelled of salt and freshness, and the sea carried a calm rhythm once more. But inside Aaron, the storm had not passed. Myra's words still echoed in his mind: her mission, her doubts, her feelings she could not name. He tried to focus on his daily tasks, but everything felt different. Each sound of rain on the roof reminded him of her voice. Each glance at the horizon made him wonder when she would appear again. By evening, Aaron returned to the pier. He carried nothing this time, not even bread or tea. His heart was too full for simple gifts. He only wanted to see her. Myra was already there, waiting at the edge of the pier. The sky above them was soft and pink, painted by the setting sun. Her cloak shimmered faintly in the light, though her eyes looked more troubled than before. You came back, Aaron said quietly. Yes, Myra replied. Her voice was calm, but not as steady as before. I should not, but I could not stay away. Aaron stepped closer. Why do you say you should not? She lowered her gaze, watching the waves below. My duty is clear. I must return soon, with my report. My people expect me to speak only of what I see, not of what I feel. She hesitated, then added, but with you. I feel more than I should. Aaron's chest tightened at her words. Part of him wanted to ask her to stay, but another part knew the weight of her choice. Maybe feelings are not weakness, he said softly. Maybe they are the strongest part of us. Myra lifted her eyes to him, uncertain but searching. Among my people, feelings are controlled. Duty comes before the heart. To choose otherwise, is to step away from what I was taught. The pier creaked gently under the tide, as though it too carried their silence. Aaron gave a small smile, though his voice carried quiet sadness. For humans, the heart often comes first. We follow it, even when it leads us into storms. Myra studied him, her glowing eyes reflecting both the fading light and the depth of her own struggle. That is what makes you strong, and what makes you fragile. The sky darkened, and the first drops of evening rain began to fall. Aaron tilted his face upward, letting the cool drops touch his skin. Then let me show you what we do, even in storms, he said suddenly, standing tall. Myra blinked at him. What do you mean? He reached out a hand. Dance with me. Her head tilted, confusion in her eyes. Dance. Yes, Aaron said with a gentle smile. It's a human way of celebrating, of forgetting worries for a moment. We dance in joy, sometimes even in sorrow. Tonight, let us dance in the rain. Myra hesitated, glancing at his hand. Rain glistened on his skin, waiting for her choice. Slowly, almost shyly, she placed her hand in his. It was warm against the cool rain. Aaron guided her gently, stepping across the slick wooden planks. At first, her movements were stiff, uncertain. But as he laughed and spun lightly, she followed, her cloak flowing around them like a silver wave. The rain fell harder, soaking Aaron's hair and jacket, but he only smiled wider. Myra's face softened, her laughter breaking free for the first time, bright and light against the sound of rain. They moved clumsily but freely, their steps creating a rhythm with the storm. The sea rose and fell below them, the sky rumbled above, yet for those moments, nothing mattered except the way their hearts moved together. Finally, breathless, they stopped near the railing. Myra's eyes glowed warmly, no longer troubled but touched by something new. This is what you mean, she said softly. To dance even when the world is heavy. To find joy, even in sorrow. Aaron nodded, still holding her hand. Yes. That is how humans survive. That is how we love. Her expression changed at his last word, and for a moment, silence returned. Rain dripped softly between them, but neither let go. I should not feel this, Myra whispered. And I should not want more than this moment, Aaron answered. They stood close, the storm easing around them, the pier carrying their quiet struggle. Two worlds pulled at them, duty and heart, stars and sea. Yet, in that fragile space, they chose to simply be together. The rain slowed, the clouds parting slightly to reveal a single star above. Myra looked up, her eyes glowing with its reflection. I do not know how long I can stay, she said softly. Aaron tightened his hand around hers. Then let's make every moment count. And so, beneath the rain-soaked sky, a silent promise grew between them, a promise of hearts pulled together, even as two worlds tried to pull them apart. The days that followed their rain-drenched dance were both bright and heavy. For Aaron, every moment with Myra felt like a gift, yet behind her glowing eyes there was always a shadow of worry. He knew she was torn, though she never said it aloud. One evening, As the sun set in soft orange light, Myra's cloak shimmered faintly with a signal. She lifted her wristband, the silver band glowing brighter than usual. A voice spoke from it in a language Aaron could not understand, gentle but firm, like a command. Myra listened silently, her face unreadable. When the light dimmed, she lowered her hand. Aaron watched her, his heart uneasy. "What did they say?" he asked. Myra's eyes lingered on the horizon before she spoke. "My people are coming soon. They will call me back. I must give them my report." Aaron's chest tightened, though he tried to keep his voice steady. "And what will you tell them?" She hesitated, as though the answer was heavy. "I do not know yet. They expect me to speak only of weakness. But when I see this world, when I see you, I cannot call it weak." Aaron stepped closer, his voice quiet but filled with determination. "Then let me show you. Let me show you what makes us strong." The next day, he did just that. He took Myra beyond the pier, into the heart of the little town. The streets smelled of fresh bread, and neighbors greeted one another with smiles. Myra walked beside him, her cloak shimmering softly, though she tried to keep it hidden under a hood. Her glowing eyes caught the attention of a few, but most simply smiled at her kindly, assuming she was a traveler from far away. Aaron first brought her to the market. Children splashed in leftover puddles, laughing as they chased each other. Myra paused to watch them, her expression softening. "They laugh, though the ground is wet and cold," she whispered. "Yes," Aaron said. "Because they see fun, not trouble." Next, he took her to the bakery. The baker, a cheerful woman with flour on her hands, offered them fresh rolls, still warm from the oven. Myra held the bread gently, as if it were precious. When she tasted it, her eyes glowed brighter. "It is simple, but it carries joy," she said. The baker laughed at her words, not fully understanding but touched by her tone. Aaron smiled, knowing Myra was beginning to see what he wanted her to. As evening approached, they walked past the small square where an old man sat playing a violin. The notes floated through the air, soft and heartfelt. Myra stopped, listening closely, as though every note touched her deeply. "This sound, it is not needed for survival. Yet it makes the heart rise," she said. Aaron nodded. "That's music. Humans created to share feelings. It carries sadness and hope together." For a long time, Myra stood still, her eyes shining not with her usual glow but with emotion. "I did not know strength could sound like this," she whispered. Later, as rain began to fall once more, they returned to the pier. The sea shimmered in the fading light, and the wooden boards creaked beneath their steps. Myra looked at Aaron, her face calm but touched by something new. "Today I saw kindness, joy, hope," she said slowly. "These are not things my people measure. They believe strength is only in power, in knowledge, in control. But you," she paused, her voice softer. "You show me that strength is also in love." Aaron's heart stirred at her words, though he tried to keep his voice gentle. "That's what I wanted you to see. We are not perfect, Myra. But we care. We dream. And when we love, we become stronger than we know." The rain tapped around them, steady and calm. Myra turned her face toward it, her glowing eyes soft. "Aaron, my report cannot be only about weakness anymore. I cannot deny what I have seen." She stepped closer, her cloak brushing against his sleeve. "But my people will not understand. They will not accept feelings as proof. They will say I have failed in my duty. Aaron met her gaze, his voice steady though his heart ached. Then tell them the truth anyway. Show them that humanity is not weak. Show them that love is our strength. For a long moment, they stood in the rain, neither speaking. The sea whispered below, and the sky stretched wide above them. Finally, Myra whispered, "You have given me something I cannot forget." Aaron smiled faintly. "And you have given me the same." The rain grew heavier, but neither moved. Two worlds still waited to pull them apart, yet on the rain-soaked pier, they held on to the truth they had found together, that humanity's greatest strength was not in power or control, but in the simple, endless act of love. The night was darker than usual, and the air felt heavy with silence. Aaron walked to the pier with a heart that would not rest. He had sensed all day that something was about to change. Myra's words from the night before stayed with him, "My people are coming soon." When he reached the pier, the sea was restless, and clouds covered the stars. The smell of salt and rain filled the air. At the far end stood Myra, her cloak glowing faintly as though it carried its own light. She turned when she heard his steps, and her eyes reflected both sorrow and strength. "They have arrived," she said softly. "My ship waits above the clouds. Tonight, I must decide." Aaron's chest tightened, though he had known this moment was coming. He moved closer, the wooden boards creaking beneath his feet. "And what does your heart tell you?" Myra's gaze lowered to the sea. "My duty tells me to return. My report must be given. But my heart," she paused, her voice trembling. "My heart does not wish to leave." Rain began to fall, slow at first, then steadier, like the sky joining their struggle. Aaron stepped beside her, letting the drops slide down his face. "I will not ask you to stay," he said gently. "That choice must be yours. But I want you to know this: what you found here is real. What we share is real." Myra looked at him, her glowing eyes softer than he had ever seen. "When I first came, I believed humans were fragile, ruled by emotions. But now I see, emotions are not chains. They are wings. They lift you higher. They make you strong." Aaron smiled faintly, though his heart ached. "That's what I tried to show you. We stumble, we fall, but we rise again because of what we feel. Because of love." The rain fell harder, drumming on the pier. The sea roared below, as if urging her to choose. Myra reached out her hand, brushing her fingers against his. The touch was light, uncertain, yet filled with meaning. "If I stay," she whispered, "I will step away from duty. My people will not understand. They may call me lost." "And if you leave?" Aaron asked quietly. Her eyes grew distant. "If I leave, I will carry emptiness. I will carry you as a shadow in my heart. I do not know which pain is greater." Lightning flashed across the sky, lighting her face in silver. For a long moment, the world felt frozen, two souls caught between stars and sea. Aaron took her hand fully now, holding it tight. "Myra, I don't know what your people will say. But I know this: life is not just about duty. It's about moments like this. It's about choosing what makes you feel alive." Myra's lips parted, as if she wanted to answer, but no words came. Instead, she stepped closer, her cloak brushing against his soaked jacket. The glow of her wristband pulsed again, calling her back, yet she did not move away. The rain poured down around them, washing the world in silver. Myra closed her eyes for a moment, listening to the sound. When she opened them again, her voice was steady, filled with quiet resolve. Then I choose, she whispered. I choose not to leave, not tonight. Aaron's heart leapt, though he remained still, afraid the moment might break if he moved too quickly. You mean, you're staying? Myra nodded. Yes. I will tell them I need more time. I will tell them I have not finished my study. But the truth, she looked into his eyes, her voice almost trembling. The truth is that I cannot walk away from what I have found here. From what I have found in you. For a moment, the storm no longer felt cold. The rain became a shield around them, a curtain that belonged only to their choice. Aaron smiled, his chest filled with warmth that no storm could wash away. Then we'll face tomorrow together. Whatever comes. Myra's eyes glowed brighter, but this time it was not only light, it was feeling. She leaned her forehead gently against his, letting the rain run between them. Together, she echoed softly. Above them, thunder rolled, and somewhere beyond the clouds, her ship waited. But on the pier, beneath the endless rain, Myra had made her choice not for duty, but for love. The storm passed by morning. The sea had calmed, and the air smelled fresh, as though the world itself had been washed clean. The pier still carried drops of rain that glistened in the soft light of dawn. Aaron stood there, leaning against the wooden rail, his clothes still damp from the night before. He had barely slept, yet his heart felt light. He kept replaying Myra's words in his mind, I choose not to leave. Soon he heard footsteps, light and graceful. Myra walked toward him, her cloak now dry, her glowing wristband dimmer than before. It no longer pulsed with the urgent call from her ship. Instead, it was quiet, as though even it accepted her choice. You came early, she said softly, her voice carrying warmth. Aaron turned and smiled. I couldn't wait. I had to make sure last night wasn't just a dream. Myra's eyes glowed faintly, and she stepped closer. It was no dream. I stayed because my heart demanded it. And now, a new path begins. They stood together, watching the sea. Gulls cried above, and small waves brushed against the pier, their rhythm steady and calm. For the first time, Myra looked not like a visitor from the stars, but like someone who belonged here. Do you regret it? Aaron asked gently. Myra shook her head. No. My people may not understand, but I do not regret. I have seen galaxies, endless worlds, but none gave me what I found here. She paused, searching his eyes. On this pier, in this rain, I found love. Aaron's chest tightened with emotion. He reached for her hand, and she let him hold it. Her fingers were warm, steady. Together they walked to the very edge of the pier, where the sea stretched endlessly before them. Myra lifted her face to the sky, the clouds slowly parting to reveal a pale morning Sunday. My ship waits, she said quietly. They will call again. But I will not answer, not yet. I will send a message one day, but on my terms. For now, this is where I belong. Aaron nodded, understanding her struggle but also feeling proud of her courage. Then let this place be ours. Not just a meeting spot, but a promise. Myra tilted her head, curious. A promise? Yes, Aaron said, smiling faintly. Every storm will pass. The sea will rise and fall. But whenever we stand here together, this pier will remind us of our choice. That we chose each other. Myra's lips curved into a small, gentle smile. She placed her other hand over his, sealing his words with her touch. Then this pier is no longer only wood and nails. It is memory. It is forever. They fell silent, not needing more words. The world spoke for them, the waves, the gulls, the light breaking through the clouds. Myra leaned lightly against him, her cloak brushing his shoulder. For once, she did not glow like an alien from another world. She glowed like someone who had found home. As the sun rose higher, they turned from the sea and began to walk back toward the village. Children were playing near the shore, their laughter carrying across the wind. Some waved at Myra, no longer afraid of her glowing eyes, and she smiled back, shy but warm. The villagers, too, had begun to accept her. They greeted her kindly, curious yet respectful. Myra no longer seemed like a stranger. She was part of their mornings, their nights, their stories. Aaron watched her interact with them, his heart swelling with pride. He had always believed that love could bridge worlds, but now he saw it with his own eyes. Humanity had offered her not technology or power, but kindness, laughter, and the strength of emotions. And Myra had chosen it. She had chosen him. When they returned to the pier that evening, the sky was painted with colors of gold and rose. Myra stood quietly, gazing at the horizon. "Do you ever wonder," she asked softly, "what the future will hold for us?" Aaron stepped beside her, his hand finding hers again. "Yes. But I don't fear it. Because no matter what comes, we'll face it together." Myra's eyes shimmered, not from light but from feeling. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Together. Always." The waves crashed softly below, carrying their promise out to the endless sea. And as the first stars appeared above, the pier stood strong, holding the memory of two souls who had chosen love over distance, duty, and fear. It would forever be known not only to them but to all who came after as the pier where the rain once fell, where choices were made, and where love became greater than the stars.